You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest-running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking to Merkel. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Dolphin fans, and welcome back to another episode of Dolphins Talk. My name is Marissa Marino, and today I am joined by Chris Carlin, co-host of Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York. You can follow him on socials at Chris Carlin. Chris, how are you today?
I'm great, Marissa. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. It's Friday, so I'm doing really well. We have a whole weekend of football coming up.
Yeah, thank God.
We need it. We need it. Well, you're a busy man, so we're going to get right into it. And I love that the first thing we get to talk about, finally a win for this Miami Dolphins team. How surprised were you that Miami beat Buffalo this past week, and just the nature of how lopsided this game was against the Bills, who they haven't beaten since 2022?
Yeah, I was surprised, to say the least, but it's funny, you know, Bart Scott, my co-host, always says that South Beach is undefeated when it comes to Sunday games at 1:00. So did the fellas go out the night before a little bit and have fun? Who knows? But listen, I give them a lot of credit because with everything that's happened with the Dolphins season, this would have been easy to just pack it in and kind of let it go for the rest of the way. And they clearly did not let go of the rope. It raises some interesting questions to me. First, for the Bills, it raises the question of who are they really? Are they a team that is a legitimate Super Bowl contender or not? And I think for the Dolphins, it really raises a couple of questions along the lines of, all right, so what does this mean here for Mike McDaniel? Because all along it has felt like Stephen Ross does not really want to fire him. And when you have games like that, and you start to see maybe the team is still responding to him, especially after everything that's gone on, maybe that kind of changes their, you know, what the future looks like, because it certainly looked like at one point that was a fait accompli.
Yeah, I mean, Mike McDaniel, I mean, they are now 3-7 on track at this point for another season where the team finishes under 500. Although if that game wasn't just an anomaly outlier game, who knows? But do you think Mike McDaniel can save his job if he was on a hot seat as a head coach? If, you know, with this season and the buy-in we saw in this game, and if we see buy-in from players moving into games forward?
I think he easily could have been fired already.
Yeah.
And if he was going to be, I kind of feel like he would have been. Now, listen, who knows the rest of the way?
Right.
If they finished the season with 3 wins, then I think we probably know what the answer to that is. But what it feels like is, yes, he can save his job, because it honestly feels to me like Stephen Ross wants to do everything he can to not fire Mike.
Right.
Because he clearly likes Mike and has an affinity for him and believes in him. You know, that's a taller hill to climb here. I think that that really depends on the owner and what he feels about it. Now, I think we saw part of that already when he decided to fire Chris Greer and not Mike, and he had somebody there already in Anthony Weaver, who is pretty well respected around the league, and a lot of people feel like he's going to be a head coach, where he could have given him an audition for, you know, for the next half of the season, and he chose not to do that. So I think more than anything, the fact that he's still there speaks to me that, yeah, he's got a chance to stay.
Absolutely. And, you know, just to go backwards real quickly, we mentioned the Dolphins beating the Buffalo Bills, and being in this division with this Bills team, you have seen this team clinch the AFC East year after year after year. Do you think that their Super Bowl window is closing or is closed? And if not, I mean, what are your thoughts on them outside of the game versus Kansas City a couple weeks ago? Even in wins this year, they haven't looked great. And I was looking at their rush defense yards. I mean, they have just allowed 150, 160, and then Devon Achane 170. What are your thoughts on this Bills team?
Yeah, I don't believe in them right now. I don't know how you can. I shouldn't say right now. I don't believe in them.
Yeah.
Because they have been one of those teams where I've always kind of gone by the thought of, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Mm.
And that's what this feels like here. It feels like we need to believe that the Bills are not nearly as good, and that window might be closing. Now, I don't think it's a window that doesn't reopen in a couple of years as long as you have Josh Allen.
Right.
I think the first iteration of it is closing, and then a couple of years down the line, if they restock and they get what they need to be just a much better team defensively, because to me that's where the biggest disappointment lies, then you can kind of reopen it. But I always feel like when you have that superstar franchise quarterback, you're going to have at least two different opportunities, and it definitely feels like that first one's come to a close.
Yeah, definitely has. So speaking of quarterbacks, Tua, we have to bring him up, of course. He's in year 6, and up until last week, hasn't really played very well this season. Lots of turnovers. What are your thoughts on Tua overall? And do you think he is a quarterback who can lead this team, probably not this year, but to a playoff run? Or do you see him as just one of those middle of the pack quarterbacks who people have said kind of need everything to be perfect around him to have any success?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I There are so few guys that a lot of my colleagues at ESPN would call a force multiplier, somebody who makes other people better by his presence, that are the franchise quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen, I think, in a lot of ways being one of them, but you can go up and down, and there's probably 7 or 8 of them in the league. And I just don't think that Tua is one of them. I don't think
Mhm.
Tua makes anybody else better. I think Tua was at his best when this offense had Tyreek Hill
Mm.
who was very healthy and still in his prime. I'm questioning if that's the health aside. I'm questioning if we've seen the end of Tyreek, certainly in
Yeah.
Miami, and Jalen Waddle and the weapons that they had on offense was more than enough for them to be able to put up a great amount of points and beat teams that way. I feel like Tua is somebody that does need to have all of those weapons around him. I'd compare it to, like, look at what's going on at Indianapolis. Daniel Jones, for the longest time in his career, didn't look like he was going to be a franchise level type quarterback. All of a sudden, he finds himself with a really good offensive line, with 3 solid receivers, with an excellent rookie tight end, and the best running back in the game. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jones, oh my God, he can really play, right? Yeah. Well, there are the guys that make other people better, and
Yeah.
there are the guys at quarterback who are made better by the presence of others. And
Right.
that's what this feels like. I think if you took Tua and you put him in Indianapolis, we'd probably feel a lot differently about him. Probably feel like we did a couple of years ago. So I think he's somebody that does need to have a lot around him.
Yeah, no, I can certainly understand that. And you were talking about Coach Anthony Weaver, and it just made me think, what's crazy, I think to some of this fan base is the past games we've seen, this defense has left a lot to be desired prior to the last 2 games. I mean, I was comparing it to like a screen door on a submarine, just like anybody can get through. But this Dolphins defense, though, I mean, against the Bill, I was just like, where has this been all
Yeah.
year? I mean, what do you make of this turnaround? I mean, it was such a huge turnaround of this defense.
Well, I need to see that it's more than one game,
Yeah.
but it certainly feels like that was the question a lot of people were asking. Where was
Right.
this? With that, you can't deny how well that defense played the other day. And for the fact that they had not played well at all season, that to me speaks, again, not letting go of the rope. I think
Mhm.
that's pretty important, but also All right, was this an anomaly in just how they played? Did this have more to do with the Bills? What was it? I think we get a better handle on that here in the coming weeks, because there are times that you will see a team be just so bad defensively,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they get themselves straightened out.
I mean, to hold Josh Allen to 0 points going into the fourth quarter as a Dolphins fan, that was my personal Super Bowl, to be quite honest with you.
I understand.
Okay, so as far as we've got the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, how did it happen that the Patriots
Oh,
only a couple years down rebuild and pass all of us in such a short amount of time? Like, what has what is going on?
in New York, the Jet fans are just beside themselves.
Yeah,
Like, how do we continue to whiff on this?
yeah,
And they find their guy, and that's it. That's it. It's the quarterback. Period.
yeah.
That's it. If you look at how I'm going to use the Jets as an example, because I think it's a drastic example, and drastic in a way that really shows what can happen. Um, the Jets had Joe Douglas as their general manager for 6 years. He drafted very well and got a lot of pieces in place. If you look at what they have right now on defensive line, edge rush, what they had in the secondary before they traded Sauce and Quinn. He didn't draft Quinn and Williams, but um, you know, some really good pieces, and along the offensive line too. He whiffed on the quarterback, on
Mm,
Zach Wilson. He's gone.
yeah,
Like, that's it. Like, there were a lot of other things that you hit on, and you whiffed on that, and now that's it. Um, I can look at other guys. Joe Shane from the Giants may have just kept his job because he drafted Jackson Dart,
mm,
and he's been awful with drafts.
yeah,
Awful.
yeah,
So that's it. Like, that's it. Chris, if we had seen that Tua had played a whole lot better,
mm.
Chris Greer would still be here. Right now, it looks like, did they pay the wrong guy? That's what it feels like. And so
Justin Herbert's name is thrown out there quite often with Dolphin fans.
I'm sure it would be, and I understand. And it's frustrating. Listen,
Mhm.
it is so difficult to hit on that position. If you really look at the last 15 years,
Mhm.
the hit rate on quarterbacks in the first round is about 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, that's so hard to do. And I think for GMs, in some ways the worst thing that ever happened, when quarterbacks were paid a lot right away, that meant that teams had no choice but to continue to give them chances for a
Mm,
3 and 4 and 5 year period, as opposed to just 2.5, 3 years. All right, you're not it, you're out.
right.
Like, now you have nothing invested in them. Back then, you're drafted early in the first round. You've got $60 million invested in you. You've got $50 million invested in you. We've got no choice but to give you a chance. And now we can move on from you
Mm,
sooner rather than later. And there are guys who just develop later. Look at Sam Darnold. There are a few
yeah.
others out there for sure.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that. You speaking of New York fans, do you think Aaron Glenn is going to be a one and done in New York, or do you think he's going to get a second year? And to back that up too, does he know that fighting with the media isn't going to end well for him?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I really
Yeah.
don't. Aaron Glenn is heavily influenced by Bill Parcells, I think. But, Bill, if you look back, he had the jousting with the media, but the media all kind of respected him. And
Right.
it was a different time in that. It's not that they don't respect Aaron. It's just that Bill was not doing all of that until he was winning.
Mm,
That first year, he went 3-12-1. There was none of that going on. I don't know why Aaron Glenn chooses to get annoyed by a story about somebody being out for a month, which he is, by the way. Why that really gets your goat. It feels like a waste of energy for me.
yeah.
And as far as the one and done thing, I tend to doubt it because Woody Johnson likes him a lot.
Mhm.
I'm frustrated with Aaron Glenn by his continued talk about how important it is to be more disciplined and to be better with penalties. And they might be for a week, and that's it.
Yeah.
You look at the Thursday night game. I mean, they had 7 penalties. They had 1 penalty in particular, and you get less frustrated by the ones that are happening during play.
Mhm.
But they had an illegal contact on a play where they came up with a huge sack, and they're still very much in the game, down a touchdown, and that just wiped out the sack and blew out any opportunity that they had. And they're a team that has to win in the margins right now. I don't think he'll be one and done, but this whole thing about discipline and penalties and stuff, for some reason, it's not getting through yet. And I don't know what that is, why that is. And it needs to. It needs to, if that's going to be where he's going to lean into.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Dolphins share the same thing against the Bills game. I thought it was all going to be terrible. The very first snap, it was a false start penalty. And then we called a timeout before we even had the first play of the
Yeah.
game. I mean, I'm like, wait a second. These are just fundamentals. What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Like, to me, those are the warning signs
Hmm.
for Stephen Ross when he's looking at Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
What do you want to do here?
Hmm.
I don't know how Dolphin fans feel as a whole. I'm assuming most fans are ready to move on from McDaniel. How do you feel about this at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I have been ready to move on.
Yeah.
Part of that, though, was I felt that there was a lack of respect from these players to Mike McDaniel, the showing up late, the lack of accountability. I think with the jokes just all over it, I mean, I think we were just over it as a fan base. But again, winning cures all ails. And then you see him win against the Bills and besides that, call a really good game. And then, of course, you're like, oh, well, maybe,
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
such a
I know.
fickle fan base we are.
But no, but it's not just them. It's not just you guys
Yeah.
as the fan base. That happens everywhere. And
Yeah.
they'll catch a little glimpse of something. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, oh, maybe.
And then you kind of go back and you see. So we'll see how this plays
Yeah.
out. But like, that stuff would drive me insane.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely drive me insane.
I have lots of gray hairs that aren't showing through on this podcast right now. So, okay, so pivoting to other parts of the AFC, as of this recording, the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens would be out of the playoffs if the season ended today. KC is in the 8th spot, Baltimore is in the 10th spot. So today, if I gave you the option of KC or Baltimore to win the whole AFC East or the rest of the field to win the AFC, are you taking the KC Baltimore or are you going the field on that one?
Well, that's a great question. All right. So I have a personal history here with Baltimore.
Okay.
I on so many occasions have picked them and have gotten burned by them in the Super Bowl. And somehow I picked them again this year. If it were me at the moment, I don't know how you couldn't take them.
Yeah.
Take them and take take Kansas City or Baltimore or the field. I don't know how you take the field.
Mhm.
Let's go through the field. First of all, those two teams, I think we've established, no matter what their record is at this point, I never thought that Baltimore was dead at 1-5.
Right.
And you can't,
Mhm.
especially in that division, which just isn't that good. I would look at New England. Well, all right, New England now is 8-2 or 9-2. But Marissa, I mean, if you look, New England's strength of schedule
Mhm.
right now in the league is the worst.
Yeah.
The winning percentage of their opponents this season is 361. That's awful. Now, I give them credit. They have won the games that they have needed to win.
Right.
Like, Vrabel has established his culture, which I hate the freaking word, but I understand it. I give them all credit for that. I'm just not there yet.
It kind of reminds you of the 2023 Dolphins, who we were doing great, but everyone was like, but who have they played? Like,
and listen, I think by pure elimination of everybody else, they may end up winning the division, but I'm not there yet on
Yeah.
them. I certainly am not buying into Buffalo at this point. I'm not
Mhm.
buying into Pittsburgh at this point in any way. Indianapolis is interesting to me. I really want to know how good their defense is. When they lost Charvarius Ward and they had the other former Dolphin who was with them who retired, Xavier Howard, who
Mhm.
retired. I was really wondering about where that was going to go. And the Sauce Gardner thing is interesting. I want to know how much of a difference maker he is. I don't know how good their defense is yet. Their
Mhm.
offense can score with anybody.
Yeah.
And I will give them that. And then Denver, Bo Nix is playing terribly.
Mm.
He's really playing poorly right now. I expect, for instance, Kansas City to beat Denver on Sunday. So in a long-winded way, I don't know how you can go against picking Kansas City and Baltimore versus the rest of the field. I
Yeah.
don't know. how you can
I've
do
learned that Kansas City, they just like find a way to like sneak in there every single. I'm just like, how do they do this year?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just madness to me. So
Yeah. No,
totally get that. Okay, so Miami is playing Washington in Madrid, Spain on Sunday morning. Do you like these? First of all, do you like these early games? If you're in Eastern time zone, 9:30 kickoff games overseas, what do you think of those?
see, I don't. But like, I wonder how. First of all, I was on the West Coast a few weeks ago calling a game in San Francisco, and one of these games was going on, and so that's 6:30 in the morning out there. But I've always had friends who live on the West Coast
Yeah.
tell me how amazing it is to have games at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I would enjoy that, but there's no part of me with these games because they're never well played games.
Right.
They're never well played games. They feel like it's always kind of grayish and dark over there, and it feels like some of these teams are kind of sleepwalking sometimes. I hate these games, to tell you the truth. I really do.
Tell us how you really feel, Chris.
I mean, listen, I'll obviously watch, but
Yeah.
my Sunday morning routine is not going to be, I'm going to get out of my way to make sure, unless it's something I really have a vested interest in,
Yeah.
that I'm going to make sure I'm there at 9:30 in the morning.
So I say that when they have these Sunday morning games that I'm Central Time, between pre-kickoff at like 8 to the night game and post game, I literally become like a couch organism. Like I am one with my couch at that point.
Yeah, we all do. I get it. It's just, I can't, even I can't do it for 12 straight hours.
Yeah, it's a lot. Who do you think, last question before we get to our speed round, who do you think wins this game? I mean, we know Jaden Daniels and the injury going on there. What do you predict for this game?
You know, it feels like a game the Dolphins can win. It feels like one of those games. And what's interesting to me about that is I don't know what to make of Washington without Jaden Daniels. I really don't. I think Mariota's a good, solid backup
Mhm.
who might be able to win you some games. But I'm sure that Washington looks at this game and says that's one that we absolutely have to have.
Yeah.
But I am not going to be shocked if the Dolphins win this game at this point. I'm really not.
Love that. Every week it's been like, sorry, Marissa, but no go. So here we go. All right. So before we get out of here, we do our Dolphins Talk speed round, 5 questions with Chris Carlin. Our listeners love this segment. So Chris, you ready to go?
Let's go.
All right. Question 1. Who is your favorite athlete growing up as a kid?
Mookie Wilson played outfield for the Mets. I was a huge, huge baseball fan as a kid, like above everything else.
Okay.
And then I got into football, and I'm actually a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, even though I live in the Northeast, because 2 of my older brothers were Steelers fans, so I kind of followed them. And Terry Bradshaw was
Oh yeah. I mean,
my favorite there early too.
okay. Question 2, as the voice of Rutgers football, what is your favorite road venue, city, stadium of all the Big Ten schools you have traveled to?
It's interesting. Like, I think the Big House is a little overrated because I don't think it's as loud as people make it out to be. It's all right. I would say my favorite so far. It's part of the new Big Ten. I really like Husky Stadium in Washington, and I've been there a couple of times calling games. I would put that right up there. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but so many of the stadiums, I think, I hate going to Penn State. I don't like it because it takes forever to get there, and the stadium's good and everything. I just think I think I'd probably say Husky Stadium, as crazy as that is to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's your personal preference. So there you go. Question 3: what is your favorite late night snack?
Oh man, it's got to be ice cream.
Ooh,
Like
what
you
flavor
can,
are we going with?
yeah, man. Half baked is solid.
Oh, like the Ben and Jerry's half baked? Is
Oh
that what you're
yeah,
talking about? Oh, okay, yeah.
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 Ben and Jerry's overall
I mean,
milk and cookies is very
easy.
good. Yeah. It's very hard to go wrong with Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I mean, truly, that Ben and Jerry have really figured that out. It's mastery at this point. Speaking of snacks and food, I know you have done TikTok videos ranking the top diners in New Jersey. In your opinion, what is like the 2 qualities that make for a great diner?
The 2 things that made for a great diner. That's a great question. I need a little bit of ambiance to it. It doesn't
Uh-huh.
have to be like looking like a 1950s place to
Right.
eat, but I just need a little bit of something to that where it's not just walk in and it's here's your food, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's not like that. I would say secondly, and this is going to sound strange, there are a lot of diners that take for granted little things like bread, where the bread might be a little stale, like
Mm.
fresh bread in a sandwich, in like toast, things like that. You might laugh and think like that's not what is that? No, that's something that's real.
Yeah.
And it really tells you a lot about the diner. I've got a place near me called the Prestige Diner
Mhm.
that I love to go to on the weekends, and that is like I know that a rye toast I'm going to get fresh rye toast. And I've been to plenty of diners in Jersey where it's like, you bought this last week, didn't you?
No, and I can appreciate that. Bread is my love language. So
Yeah.
I totally get that. All right, final question. You worked for many years with Mike and the Mad Dog on their legendary radio show, and we see Mad Dog these days on ESPN First Take each week with Stephen A. Smith. He's all over the place. Do you have any like fun Mad Dog story you can share with us?
Oh, yeah, I have many. Chris is just the number one thing I would say that everybody needs to know about Chris is it's not an act.
Yeah.
This is all very, very real. Traveling with him, he's a piece of work. He will ride you to no end. And he's fun like that. I think my favorite Mike and the Mad Dog story, and it involves both of them, is they were both had just such a certain way of breaking down games and talking about them and all that. So we were traveling this was 2000 during the NBA playoffs, and the Knicks were playing the Pacers in Indianapolis. And so we got there earlier in the day. We were going to do the show from the arena, and Mike, his room was not ready. Chris's room was ready. So I went down to the lobby to try to find out what was going on. I go back up, and they're sitting in Chris's room, and they're watching the movie The Horse Whisperer. Just the 2 of them on the couch watching The Horse Whisperer, which is just weird to begin with. So I walk in the room, and I said, "Hey, Mike, listen, room's not ready yet. Going to be another half hour." And all of a sudden, it's just shh. Okay, and so I guess it's a very dramatic scene where Robert Redford is breaking up with Kristen Scott Thomas, and the scene ends. And Chris turns to Mike and he goes, "Mike, listen, he did the right thing. You have got to break up with that woman right now. She is lost in her life. She doesn't know what she's doing." Mike, absolutely right move. As if it was Knicks Pacers the next day. It was amazing. And I just that's the best way I can describe them. The characters that people think they are on the air, that was exactly who they were, and who Chris continues to be.
See, men are sentimental too and can get pulled in by a movie like that. There you go. Love it.
Yep.
Love to hear it.
The other one for Chris, just briefly, is the movie Saving Private Ryan.
Oh,
Famously
classic. Yeah.
has a very rough beginning to it.
Yeah.
Chris and Mike were talking about that movie on the air for 20 minutes one day when it first came out. And at the end of it, Chris just turns to him and goes, Mike, listen, one thing I learned here, war is bad. War is bad, Mike. It's just, it took that for you to know that war was
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, like, okay.
Very funny.
Glad we cleared that up. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Everybody watching, make sure you follow Chris on socials at Chris Carlin, and you can catch him, co-host of Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York. Chris, any parting words for those Dolphin fans out there listening?
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
People underestimate the suffering of the Dolphin fans.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know, I see you and I hear you.
We appreciate that. I tell people on the show all the time, the Dolphins owe me a lot of money in therapy bills. I mean, it's really racked up at this point. So
It's fair.
All right. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop us a comment about how much you enjoyed the show. We hope that everybody out there has a wonderful rest of your day, and fins up.
This episode of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast is sponsored by Caneswear. Caneswear.com is the spot where Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com, the best and most affordable gear for the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Marlins, the Miami Heat, the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, all of the professional and college sports teams in South Florida. Caneswear.com has you covered. If you're in South Florida, you can visit the storefront at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. They ship internationally as well. So Caneswear.com, make it the place. It's the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins gear. That's Caneswear.com, Caneswear.com. And don't forget about Dolphins Talk Extra. Go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk for additional Miami Dolphins content. You get extra access to our private Discord server. You get bonus podcasts covering the Miami Dolphins. You get off-topic content as well. We have live watch-alongs. We have retro rewatches where we watch old games and talk about them. We do off-topic shows. We have prizes, contests, all kinds of exclusive access only for Dolphins Talk Extra subscribers. So join us, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. You can join the fun for as little as $3 a month. Head on over to Dolphins Talk Extra at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. And now